Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to today's webinar featuring the latest in cloud technology, Sage Intacct Construction. Today's subject matter expert is Bob Sandlins from Recording Company. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone is muted for a clean listening experience. So if you have questions, please type them into the questions box and we will address them throughout the session. This webinar will be recorded and we will email out a copy to everyone later today. I will now turn it over to you, Bob.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. I'm going to just say hi real quick and then jump into the presentation. But use the chat if you have some specific questions as we roll through it. Thank you again for joining the webinar, Modern Cloud Solution, Sage Intacct Construction. By way of introduction, here's my contact information or updated contact information. For many of you I've worked with over the years, hello again if we've not chatted in a while. For those of you new to Accordant, we're a Sage partner with a technology focus on construction, real estate, and service-based companies. We support thousands of clients and have a deep bench of Sage certified consultants ready to assist you with any needs. Today's agenda, we'll start with a Sage Intacct overview, and I promise a short slide deck will follow here with Sage Intacct highlights, but then we're going to spend most of our time together live in the software with a particular focus on three areas. First, interactive dashboard reporting that provides actually enhanced visibility to your company's data way beyond your current use of dashboarding. Next, we'll review UX and UI design, which relate to user experience and user interface. In other words, the look and feel and interactivity of the product. Ease of use is paramount today in next generation products. Then we'll walk through a few workflows so you can see how time can be saved by more efficient work processes. And of course, for a deeper dive, just email or call us and we'll set up a personal demo. So for many of you attending this webinar, you're using Sage 100 Contractor or perhaps Sage 300. First and foremost, I just want to say Sage is committed to ongoing development of both products for years to come. So they're not going anywhere. Sage 100 and 300 continue to be the most widely used and newly implemented products in the industry. Today, either product can be on-premise, server in your building, or cloud hosted for you. Plus, both products offer a number of web services to extend your operations and reporting to the web or a mobile user. Now, Sage Intacct Construction is a next generation product built natively for the cloud. It is a true multi-tenant SaaS, which means software as a service solution. Sage Intacct currently has 13,000 customers. It all started with Timberline and Master Builder, which over the years evolved to Sage 100 Contractor and Sage 300 CRE. These two products inspired Sage Intacct product managers to add some unique construction capabilities to the Sage Intacct platform. Sage Intacct Construction provides improved workflows over how you today use software with a rock-solid financial core, increasing efficiency and producing cost savings. It's a best-in-class financial management solution. Sage Intacct was built from the ground up to integrate with other best-in-class solutions. Open APIs make interacting with data not only possible, but relatively simple. And of course, we're going to spend some time on the Intacct dashboards and see how interactive and real-time they are. So Sage Intacct is the first and only preferred provider of the AICPA and the only software publisher to have earned this endorsement to date. Intacct is the undisputed leader in customer satisfaction as well, as evidenced by a rating of 98 out of 100 on G2 Crowd across 2,000 reviews. Intacct is the leader in innovation, recognized by visionary analyst Gardner. Sage Intacct, a little bit more detail about it and how it's delivered. It, again, is a SaaS product. Sage releases 4 updates a year that contain hundreds of new features each. Updates are rolled out automatically to all users the second Saturday or Sunday of February, May, August, and November. Certainly a different experience, perhaps, than an on-premise, on-site server or hosted solution. So the Sage Intacct solution map targeted these vertical markets prior to the release of the Construction Edition. With the Construction Edition, Sage made some very specific industry changes to the core products that were already in market. An example, more flexible job work breakdown structures that allow job, sub-job, or AK extra for those of you using Sage 300, cost code, category, and even the ability today to use an item. So on a cost code category, we could budget, purchase, and cost at an item level on a category, on a cost code, on a job or sub-job, if needed. If not, disappears. Improved AP and AR retainage. I'm going to show you that as well with new release capabilities. I think those of you using 300 will appreciate some of the things we're going to show you. Improved commitment change management, workflow around all the documents. And then kind of an interesting one coming, unlimited estimate types are in the software today in the current release, but will be soon featuring or supporting a forecasting capability built into the core product in 2021. Here's a list of the major Sage Intacct marketplace partners. Now, hopefully you don't need, but maybe none of them, but if there are things like an outsourced HR or payroll solution or CRM integration, many are already connected through APIs in the software. And an API, application program interface, is a way to connect to the software without relying on imports or sync buttons. There are a few vendors, Procore, Hyphen, and Workforce Go, that launched with Sage Intacct Construction. Now, Procore, as some of you know, and some of you I see have, is a leading web collaboration project management tool for commercial, general contractors, developers, and subcontractors. Hyphen is more residential, same kind of a web project management collaboration tool. And then Workforce Go is one of the leading HR and payroll options available with Sage Intacct. Now, many of you have some existing products you're using, perhaps Sage Paperless or SSO or Sage ToolOps or TimberScan. Those products are all building integrations right now to Sage Intacct. SSO, Sage Service Operations for work order, extension of service management to the web, we'll be expecting integration Q1 2021. TimberScan, a popular content management tool, has already released their Sage Intacct product called Titanium, available today. And by the way, some of the add-on products that you may have for 100 or 300 aren't needed. An example, Create a Check, Print Boss, built-in, not those products, but built-in MICR check printing features in the Sage Intacct platform. My Assistant, a business alerts tool, that very popular add-on to Sage 300, no longer needed. Sage Intacct delivers smart events and smart rules that allow for triggers and automated distribution of reporting. Office Connector, Liberty Reports, I love those two products for 100 and 300. But Intacct, standard platform, we can take any data, drop it to Excel or link it to an Excel workbook. And then even Paperless and TimberScan, popular products. There is basic AP workflow approvals in the standard Intacct product. So they may or may not be needed moving forward. So let's jump into the software, and we're going to open up a browser here. So bear with me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay. So everyone should see my screen. I'll start with this dashboard. And again, we're going to look at dashboards. Then we're going to look at the user interface, the usability of the software, and then we're actually going to do some workflow together. So first, by way of a dashboard, it's just a view of your company's information from a perspective. Could be a controller, an owner, a CFO, a project manager looking at projects. And we'll look at both financial dashboard and a project dashboard as examples today. The dashboard tool is a delivery of information in a variety of formats to specific users. So when you log into the Sage Intacct web platform, you could be presented with a dashboard like this as soon as you open up the software. And they're easy to modify, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Dashboards, again, are role-centric. They're personalized to individual reporting requirements. And Sage Intacct solves the reporting challenges by allowing you to have as many views as needed. So you could have a view around financials and project all on one dashboard. It doesn't have to be separate served up dashboards. So let's take a look at what is here. Again, I'm logged into my instance as Robert Sandlins, and I have this as a default. Now at the top of the dashboard, there are 3 performance cards. Think of performance cards as metrics in your organization to deliver information about what's happening around that. So for instance, this G&A expenses. Notice that this month we've expended $8,200 and it's trending down, which is positive for G&A. If you choose to click on that, you'll open up the detail behind the $8,200. So here's the $8,200 we spent. Last month we spent $10,500. That's the indicator is showing as a trend down. Now from here, if you'd like, it's one click to drill into the transactions or invoices that make up that account that we didn't have as entries this quarter or this month. Now, by the way, the performance cards they don't have to be month to month. It could be year to date versus last year to date, or this quarter versus last quarter. So the period of time is specific to the metric or the specific performance card. By the way, you can have as many as you want. You could also incorporate what's called statistical accounts into performance cards, which perhaps might be the average profit per job, or the average open AP amount by vendor, or receivable amount by customer. Or in this one, hey, sales are down this month. We only booked 52,000. Last month it was 74. Again, one click to drill down to detail. And my comment earlier about Excel integration, you're going to see this everywhere. I'm on a performance card drilling down, and up pops the ability for me to drill into the detail or just print it or drop it to Excel. You'll see that everywhere. Now let's just roll down the dashboard a little bit. Notice that we've got a cash flow statement, an income statement, balance sheet over to the right, an income statement. Now also notice that in my particular scenario in this database, we happen to have multiple entities. So Sage Intacct works great for one entity or multiple entities that all can be in a single database, obviously, with the ability for you within the dashboard to filter by entity. So from here, we could just open up a new entity and see that dashboard. Or within the dashboard itself, you have the option just to choose an entity, apply that entity, re-render the dashboard with just the activity as of, let's say, today. Let's apply that. Sorry. Let's apply it as of today, specific to Texas. I think my numbers are going to be the same. I'm not sure I entered transactions to that company the last couple of days. But now we're looking at just that one entity specific to, again, statement of cash flows, an income statement, a balance sheet, income statement by department if you wanted, revenue by entity. In this case, could be by department. If we wanted to see a group of companies, maybe we wanted to see a group called North Region. So you have the ability in the software to combine any combination of entities to a group. And then that group re-renders again. In this case, I've got Texas and Maine as a group called North. Or if we select, hey, let's just look at all locations. Now we're rolling up to all of our entities. Again, drill downs everywhere. So where you see a blue link, that's a drill down to transaction detail. So from this one component within this dashboard, we could, within this screen, just click on, let's say, health insurance benefits for the current month, and there are all the Blue Cross Blue Shield bills. Let's close that. Let's instead open up that view widescreen. Notice again, you can print it. You could put filters on it. Maybe I only want to see certain divisions. Or you could maybe even apply a filter which might be a dimension in Sage, maybe a customer I want to see, or a vendor. So the concept of dimensions is throughout Sage reporting important in the way you extract information either on a dashboard or on a report. And again, think of a dimension as attributes to a transaction. So when you record an invoice, you've got a vendor, perhaps a job, a cost code, a category, an item, or a class even. Those are all dimensions which allow for sorts interactively on any report or any dashboard. So an example of that would be, let's from here move over to a project dashboard. So now what are we looking at? We're looking at all of our, perhaps across all entities. Again, you could say, hey, well, maybe I just want to see residential projects that are in this one group. So choosing that one, let's say, entity, I'm now looking at just those projects related to that entity. Or you could say, no, we don't want to sort by entity, we want to sort by type of job. So we could do that. So let's look at all jobs across all entities. And now let's sort this by, well, let's see the warehouse projects. So now we're again filtering that dashboard specific to just this one project type. You might say, well, wait, I want to filter that again and see perhaps just a specific vendor. So how much do we owe A1 Electric, or how much have we expensed with A1 Electric on the warehouse jobs across all entities, if you have a multi-entity environment. So here we are now looking at just that vendor's detail by project across jobs with, again, in this bar graph, the ability to click right down into details. Now we've got some contract invoices, material invoices with that vendor. You're familiar with that within 100, 300. And again, we can drill right into transactions and see. Again, everywhere, drop to Excel. So let's clear that. And let's just reapply the dashboard with all locations. And just let's roll down the dashboard. Again, performance cards. Again, looking at some metric or business insight that's unique to your perspective, whether it's a project or financial dashboards. Or you might have a dashboard that's just ratios, or perhaps if you look at my dashboard samples, I've got a cash analysis dashboard, one that's built for service type companies. This is the one we're on right now, project performance. Let's just roll down. You can see we have some bar graphs. Here's a one-line view of every project. Contract estimate, estimated profit, percent estimated in profit, and then commitments and billings and costs, and all the way over to the right, projected margin by project with drill downs on every blue link that you see. Here's another view that's showing now the projects as columns in a little mini P&L, again with projected profit margins all the way down on the bottom. And then we've got some other views of data. Here's a customer profitability report, now combining perhaps jobs to customers. And then we've got an interactive report, which we won't look at today. So those are dashboards. Let's move into the next area I want to focus on, and that is the user experience and user interface. So there's a lot to talk about with this, so let me move through this. First, when you log into the software, you'll have an application list. Now, this application list, I'll talk about in a minute, could be in any order you choose. All applications, just by way of introduction and navigation, have an all in a setup. So look, if we look at cash management, all in setup, accounts receivable, all in setup, jobs, etc., you get it. All applications have overviews. So you could navigate an application through an overview. So there's the job overview. Here's the AP overview. Here's a purchasing overview. Overviews just group your application access to data, tasks, and reports. Now, as well, workflows might be evident in a specific application based on how the software is configured for you. So in my sample, I have the ability to create a requisition. A requisition, purchase requisition, could convert to a purchase order. And then a purchase order could convert to a receiving ticket and right to an invoice. Your workflow might be just a purchase order right to an invoice. Someone else might say, hey, I need to go, Bob, from a purchase order to a receipt. And when we enter the receipt, I need an accrued liability sent over GL and job cost as a cost. And then when the invoice comes in, the accrued liability is reduced by the associated invoice. So not only can you define workflow within Sage Intacct, you can also define how general ledger is impacted and job cost is impacted. Now, workflows are one way to navigate. Most common, you'll just use this hover format I'm using with my mouse. I'm not clicking, I'm just hovering and the menus are changing. Now, any option, anywhere in here, if you wanted to say, hey, let's make retainage release a favorite. Notice that over on my left, now I've just added AP retainage as a shortcut. So anything, anywhere in the applications, you can just click and make it a favorite for your login. You'll see those shortcuts right here. So let's look at the home screen for a minute. Again, I'm logged in and perhaps the default page. Notice that we have a highlight here of 2020 release 4. And with that, we've got all kinds of highlights about what's new in 2020 release 4. If you click on the highlights button, you can see the detail. It's like highlight this one option even. General ledger outlier detection. Sage in the latest released incorporated AI, artificial intelligence, and ML, machine learning, to proactively catch journal entries that fall outside your historical patterns and then notified, let's say, an approver of transactions that something doesn't match the pattern. That capability you'll see implemented over the next years of releases throughout Sage. That is built into the platform. That is very difficult to do with our legacy products. So a couple more things just about the user experience. All the updates that Sage releases. If we go back here, there are videos. Sage actually released, in this release, there were 13 videos covering the highlights of the enhancements in the latest release. So deploying the software, easy to use. There's a great help. If we click over here, help on this page, you can open up the Sage Intacct Help Center and have quick access to community login, support or training, or other help videos perhaps to learn the software. One other big thing just about the user experience. I'm logged in as Robert Sandlin, so I have some preferences set. And in those preferences, I won't go through all this today, but you can define how the software behaves for you. Like, what's your start page? What's your dashboard that you want as a default? Color of the company that you're in. Do you want to click or hover? What application order do you want your menus to be in? I'm just going to roll all the way down this. Promise I won't go through all this. I've added my picture. And by the way, I've turned on Collaborate. So that means within Sage, any journal entry, any invoice, a retained release, as you're making entries or entering a vendor or customer, you're going to be able to have a messaging to other users in the organization about something, whether it's a transaction or a vendor. I'll show you when we jump in here. So that's probably enough on just the user experience. Let's touch on the UI for a minute. Now, the applications, if we were to look at like vendor setup, every screen you go into, whether it's vendor setup, customer setup, you're going to see a list view. This list view is editable or tailored by login. So each person could have their own view, their own columns that they want turned on, as well as sequence of columns, filters, and sorts. So whenever you're entering a transaction or a vendor or a customer, you're going to see this list view. And obviously here, you could just click on the column, resort the columns. So a real quick way to get to data. To add a vendor, to add let's say add a customer or a job, it's just one button. These are action buttons. You'll see them on all the screens. So one click adds a customer. Notice the nice clean UI. Screens are easy to navigate. A lot of capability I can't and don't have time to chat about today, but would love to. If we jump over to accounts payable, look at the vendor setup. Let's go do that. Nice clean screen. I mentioned earlier, hey, you don't need Create a Check or Empirical or Wellspring because it's built in. So again, more options than what we do in 300 in many places, and easy to navigate. You can even, as you add vendors or customers, you can restrict them to a entity or all entities or individual users. So easy to navigate. I want to talk a little bit about just transaction flow. So let's say bill entry. Let's go there. Add a bill. Here's the screen to enter an invoice. Well, that looks pretty easy, right? And by the way, I don't have workflow turned on, but my permissions might only be submit the invoice. I can't actually post it. In my case, I'm going to post it in a minute. We're going to go in and enter an invoice real quick. But let's real quick look at, I don't know, let's go look at general ledger journal entries right here. Now, for those of you using 300, you know that a journal entry job related is entered in job cost, direct cost entry. One that's entered GL only is in general ledger. We fixed that. One screen to handle both sides. If we look at, let's say, bill entry, customer bill entry. So I'm creating a bill. By the way, yes, everything can be printed or emailed right off the screens. Action buttons again. Same consistent look and feel across every entry screen. All the entry screens can be edited as well. So you can literally come into the screen layout and move fields around that are relevant to your layout. We'll do that now. All right, so let's see if I covered the big things. Oh, one more thing here. Let's go to AP vendors. I touched on this, and we'll cover it a little bit when we enter a bill here in just a second. But throughout the software, there's attachments. So if we go back into the vendor setup right here, notice that on this second tab, there's attachments. So you can drag and drop. If we take this, let's say this, take that WIP schedule and just attach it. Well, let me go to a vendor. Sorry. Let's just open up a vendor. So cancel. So all I'm going to do is just edit this one vendor. I'm just going to go to additional information. And let's say I want to drag and drop this W9 on that vendor. You can give it a sequence. You can drop it into a specific folder if you want and save it. That's as easy as it gets to attach a document. You can throw it a paper away. It's not a file link, by the way. It's stored in the cloud on that vendor. You can do that everywhere. Journal entry, AP bill, a purchase order. So let's go look at some of the workflow. And I know we have just a short time together, so bear with me. I'm going to go and do two things real quick to give you a sense for the flow. Let's go enter a bill. I'm going to add, and let's just pick type forward, by the way. I know you've been asking that for years. By the way, we have auto sequencers on vendors and customers, so I don't have to define the vendor, customer number, or the job number. Automatically sequences. I'll just key a bill number in here. And look how simple this grid is. Oh, sorry. Let me do it from a company. Sorry, I'm just jumping into a company. And I want to do it in a company where I have a lot of jobs. So again, A1 Electric. That's how easy it was to move from one company to another company. Build number. And notice this time, I've got lots of jobs with this company. So I'll choose a cost code. By the way, for 300 users, cost codes can be any length you want. We can have as many parent-child relationships in that code structure as you want. And they can be different by job. So I'll just choose, you're used to this, cost type. Let's just plug an amount in here, $7,000. Post. I just took an invoice and posted it through. Oh, wait a minute. There's a warning. What's that about? Well, if you click this spend management, you can see that, hey, you have a $3,000 budget. You've spent already $1,468. This purchase, now there aren't open purchase orders, but if there were, we'll flag you on that too. But this purchase exceeds your budget by $5,408. Now, for you to continue on is a setting in the software. So you might say, oh, I'm okay. We'll allow users to do that. You might turn that off. By the way, the draft is just a way to enter an invoice and not actually post it. So I actually have the ability to post it even though it creates that condition. Let's do one more thing. I know I'm right at the bottom of the hour, but let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go create a PO together. So I'm going to go into purchase orders. And hopefully you're getting a sense for the clean design of this software. And that's why I'm excited about it. For the first time, we have the deep, rich functionality that contractors need with an interface that's frankly well laid out and thoughtful. So I'll choose a vendor again, A1 Electric. I'm creating a purchase order. I can reference a document. I can attach a quote. Let's just create one real quick PO. And I'll just choose a cost code category. And I'm just going to say it's $600. And I'm going to post. Now, I might only have the ability to submit and somebody else approves it. I'm going to go ahead and post it. Oh, there's an issue here. Again, spend management catching me, trying to spend more than we've committed or we're allowed to commit. I'm going to go ahead and post that anyway because I have the double secret password to do that. There's the PO. By the way, you could open it up. You could look at the transactions, the detail. Obviously, we could enter a change order to that. I'm just going to do something real simple to show you how simple the flow is. So, by the way, when you open up the PO, you can see any change-related documents to that, posting details. That's what we entered. There was no retainage on that. There could have been in a history of everything that's taken place on that one document. But let's freight from here. Show you a little bit about workflow. I'm just going to click Convert. And I'm going to skip the receiver, go right to an invoice. And we've just converted that PO right here with one click to an invoice. Oh, obviously we need an invoice number. So it's going to catch you and one click to post. So we went from a PO to an invoice with a click. Last thing I want to share with you is just know in the software, there's approval processes. There's no way in 30 minutes we can go through all the advantages in the interface, but simple things that I've heard from many of you over the years is, hey, make the screens more interactive, make them easier to use. So here, if we wanted to say, hey, show me every invoice that's open with those two vendors with a cutoff date or on a job, apply the filter, and then let me just go ahead and select what I'm paying. Notice as you do that, hey, you have a bank balance of 157. So far, you've selected 37,000. Well, wait a minute, I can't pay that. I want to only pay 4,000. Very easy, clean screens. You can just click Pay Now, cut the checks, or ACHs, or credit card payments, however you're transacting with this vendor. Or you can add it to an outbox and later cut the checks. Don't have time to get into the retainage, but the big thing there I wanted to share with everyone is that retainage now has a release feature. So when you enter an invoice for 10,000, 1,000 is out in retainage payable. You can now release it. It creates a retainage invoice, and you can release it as a percentage or amount of the total. So I know I went fast and I talked a lot. I probably had too much coffee, but I wanted to share a lot, as much as I could in the 30 minutes about the software. And I see we're a little bit running over. So let me just recap by saying this product is modern, state-of-the-art software for construction companies. Real-time visibility through interactive dashboards, automated workflows. It can be different for each of your organizations. And software that finally in the 20 or I hate to say it, 30 plus years, software that is really intuitive, easy to use because it's thoughtfully designed and yet highly customizable. So we're going to conclude this session. I'm sorry we went through it real fast. If anyone's interested in taking a look at this further, please reach out to us. We don't have, unfortunately, time for questions, but if we have any questions, Krista, we'll get back to you with responses individually to each of you. And thank you again for jumping on this short tour. And for everyone out there, we appreciate your business over the years. And stay well and enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you.